Welcome! Today, Dwyer drives Monza with a grid of 53 other GT3 cars. What could go wrong? We started this race 37th after crashing on my outlap. And I've raced this track a whole bunch in Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's always very popular on the public servers when I was playing, but I have only driven this track like 2 or 3 times in iRacing. So why not do a 3-hour endurance race to see how I remember the track? It's for the most part pretty similar. I think I got better as the race went on. I actually did set my fastest lap like on the penultimate lap, but yep, we're about to start. That car, that Lambo with the cool livery that's all like line design, leaves a big gap, but we'll see them again very shortly. The Porsche on the left is also leaving a pretty big gap. And like most Monza races, some people decide to stay in the pits or stay in the back. We've got a green flag now, so this Porsche in purple decides not really to go, so there's a position there. And there's an argument to be made for being safe, but I figure let's give it a try. And now our Lambo friend decides to push his way through, and we've got a full garage parking lot on the on turn one, of course. Our Porsche friend on the inside, and like most of this field was Porsches, decides to go through. It's a 3-hour race. I'm not going to really defend. Our Lambo friend, once again in the cool line design, decides to like weave, but upon watching his replay or their point of view, I think they had damage and they just couldn't control the car. This green Porsche ahead, number 36, I believe we will be seeing them again throughout the rest of my first stint. But initially, I'm thinking, okay, turn one, lap one's done. I'm staying. I've got a kind of a nice draft. Stay with these folks. See what can happen. Stay safe. I was practicing this track in the rain quite a bit because there was a possibility that this would be a rain race. It ended up not being one, but wanted to kind of know how to drive this track in the rain. Very difficult for me, but losing time now. However, we're approaching turn one, and I thought, okay, I've got a pretty big gap. I think the worst of it is over. And they're getting through pretty nicely until there. And then our friend in the green Porsche once again decides to go for a gap. Decides to rejoin right where I am. I say, no, I'll just get out of the way. And then we have another Porsche where their hood is teleporting through the ground. So, first 2 laps of turn one were not fun. And I don't know if trying to stay on track and joining turn one when it's completely stopped was the right decision. I don't know if just going off track and completely avoiding that whole area is worth it when you know cars are stopped. because the cars coming behind just don't seem to want to stop ever. And it is a race, and you're not expecting to come to a complete stop at any point. Oh, look at that. An on-track pass. But it also just might be, and more chaos, carnage up ahead. It also just might be, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. With Monza turn 1, it's just going to be trouble. And if it's not, you're very lucky, or in a very, you're racing with people who are respectful of you. Alright, there's the better exit through the Ascari. No, that's not Ascari. This is Ascari. What are those called? Lesmo 1 and 2. I got better exits through there, and we'll take a pass. So it looks like we're approaching kind of a big gaggle of cars coming up. And this is, I think, about the time in the race where you're having the fast folk who got into some trouble the first few laps, catching the folks that made it through that maybe aren't as quick. And you have some people battling at the first hour of the race. So we're going to have some traffic, and then just try and manage it as best we can. See who is aggressive, see who crashes. Just main thing with these endurance races is just try to survive. And in Monza, stay in that draft. There were definitely some folks who caught me who, so then the green card goes defensive, which results in a spin from 46. I have to get on the brakes, so I'm going to lose a whole bunch of time getting onto this straight. But I survived. That's the important thing. There were definitely some folks who were faster than me during this first stint who just kind of stayed in my draft. I think they were laps down, just came out of the pits. But then when there was a moment, they went ahead, and then I got to stay in their draft. Oh! Kind of a save, but losing positions. Didn't go completely sideways, didn't do a 180, but losing a lot of time. And 2 positions right there. I think I saw the rear of the car kind of as I was getting on and off the throttle, because I was definitely not confident exiting Parabolica on the first few laps. Probably the first half of the race, honestly. Alright, we got a battling going into Lesmo 1, which will not get resolved. They both are compromised on Lesmo 2, which is giving me a nice draft. Going defensive into the Ascari chicane. I'm gonna just hang back. I want the exit here to stay in somebody's draft. Let them battle some more. I get to decide who I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna try to use as much of the track as possible. Later entry, missing the apex, but staying in the draft. Up ahead, though, they get a pass done. But it looks like they're going to keep fighting into turn one. Decide, you know what? Maybe I'll follow the person on the inside line. Nope, not enough room. But they give me it, so I will take it. And that's probably just smart racing for everybody. Just survive, get through, stay in the draft. All right, we get our first rejoin from pit lane, and now they're going to come right in my way. So, and then touching a little gravel gives me more rotation than I want, but I don't lose it, just lose time. So the car ahead is laps down, but I soon find out they're pretty darn fast. But they're being respectful. I think they were like 50th, if I remember the relative as I was racing this. And, you know, they're staying ahead of me. They're staying with the pack. They're giving me a draft. I'm happy for them to be there. And once again, it's the thing of maybe they had trouble the first few laps, had to pit for damage, and now they just need the room. Even though I'm laps ahead, oh my. If they're faster, let them go. You don't want to do it though when you're battling, but for position. But right now I'm not really. I think the car behind me is just kind of staying there or slowly moving back. This race was nice for me just in terms of I passed. Oh, it's right there. It's definitely right behind me. I was passing more people than I was getting passed by. Which is usually nice, even if I'm not, battling for a good position. Even I was, I think, around the tenths, somewhere in here, 15, 17, something like that. Okay, our laps down green Porsche is going to move ahead of these folks, which is going to slow the rest of us down. But it was all done. Nobody's pushed off, really. People were all just brought closer together. So I've got to move here to the inside, but not being aggressive. Decide not to take it. Just stay with them. I want because I know I don't have the Ascari chicane exit right. And just stay with them. Because I might get ahead, but then they'd pass me on the exit of the chicane. And the first stint I've done where we do like a GT class endurance race, shorter endurance race, like the 2 or 3 hour races. It's usually I'm usually with people around my speed or just staying with people. It is sort of nice. All right, I think 35 there got a slowdown for cutting some part of the chicane, and that gives me one more position. All right, yellow really wants that position, decides they're going to take it. Green Porsche knows they're slower, lets me by. They're slower on the exit. They are not slower than me, as I will soon come to learn. But they stayed behind me respectfully while I tried to chase this guy down. Alright, so managed to catch up by the end of the start-finish line straight. And now, working on where there's a move. Is there one right here? There is, and I will actually go for it. I don't really like trying to pass people there. And as I get him on the old, I don't know if that's a cutback through the chicane, but hey, it worked. Green car decides to follow me. A little bit of a revenge for being bumped off last time. And I'll work on the next target. Alright, P50, or I think on the side it said 40 something. The lapped car down, decides it's had enough of me and was going to get past. I'm not going to fight him. Maybe I can use them and their draft to bring me closer to the folks ahead. Alright, our lapped friend has now brought number 36 closer. Which is kind of what I wanted him to do. And once again, they were super respectful, like passing, not when they were battling the purple Porsche up there, and now 36 has a draft, so very, very respectful driving from our lapped friend. Probably just poor luck at the beginning. Maybe I'll go back and look at what happened to them. But in the meantime, I now must battle for P, probably 15th, something like that at this point in the race. Car number 36. Getting kind of a nice draft here. I'm also near the end of my fuel, so well, we have a car losing control up ahead. What I want to say about the fuel is that in retrospect, when I realized this guy was going to battle me for every corner and every position, I should have just pitted. Because I think it was like I had 3 more laps of fuel. And I would have just saved more time. And I think on pure pace, by the end of the race, I was faster than him. I still probably wouldn't have. See, like, here we go. I got a good run here. He decides to go defensive. I'm like, okay, he wants the battle for this. He can have it, because I definitely don't have the Ascari chicane done right. And I'll just take the draft behind him. But then there's the other part of me of like, well, just use as much fuel as you can. Hopefully you'll save some fuel being in their draft. Look, they're losing it there, so I know they're nervous. They come right back over. I actually lift there because I didn't know if they had lost control. I think they just caught in oversteer. So nothing horrible, but in retrospect, I should have pitted because what ends up happening isn't great. Get a better exit off of that chicane. Foreshadowing. Wink. They're taking too much curb there. I think that slows you down. Once again, they're going to go super defensive. I know it. I'm just staying in draft town. Maybe they'll mess up this part. No. They keep it all together. We've got another car having trouble up ahead. Just peek my nose there, see if I can get them to do something silly. They run a bit wide. Try to go back to the inside to get, I don't know, aero wash or a better lap time. I'm always curious about why people do stuff at the end of Parabolica. It's odd choices sometimes in my eye. Definitely not close enough to do anything in T1. But I am close enough to do something here. Ooh, not a nice thing. I apologize and actually come to a complete stop, losing a whole bunch of positions as my own way of serving a penalty, and just waiting till they get going again and letting them by. Should I let him go? I don't really care enough. I mean, should I just keep driving even after I accidentally knock them sideways? I don't care enough about my I rating. I'm not aggressive enough a driver, I guess, to really keep going. If I was on a team and other people were driving, maybe I would probably keep going just so they would have a better result. But I'm the only one driving. I decide to implement my own penalty on myself for that contact. So I end up losing lots of time there, and then by the end of the race, I think I finished 2 laps down. I don't think, and that car up ahead ends up finishing 11th. So I wonder if I could have had a better result. I also know when I pit, I'm going to have a bunch of damage to repair. If I would have not taken the optional repairs and just come out and done laps, because after the repairs were done, my lap times were a little better, but not much better. If I would have just repaired as I pitted and just taken the minimum, I probably could have had a better result, maybe stayed on the lead lap or 1 lap down instead of 2. But then again, I'm solo driving a 3-hour event, and I took the pit repair time as a time to go to the bathroom and take a little break. So that was my decision. Probably could have had a better result, even without the self-imposed penalty. I think it was more me taking the optional pit time that put me laps down as opposed to the penalty. All right, so second stint, big mistake there, completely missing the chicane. Have to take the extra chicane of shame, the chicane of shame. That's what I'll call it. Oh, look, another car joining up ahead. Okay, wasn't for me. So far my count's still at 2. Oh, this is that 7 car who I think was slow when they rejoined. So now I gotta get by them again if they haven't found the pace. Ooh, that's not a good rejoin. Oh, and it is once again our very cool line art livery Lambo. I make a move here, and I'm glad to have passed safely. So staying pretty close to the 7 car up ahead, but not really seeing any blatant opportunities to pass. Poke a little bit to the left just to see what they'll do. Feel like I'm taking most corners a bit faster than they are. Or my exits maybe a bit better. That one's going to be compromised a bit because I'm slowed down, but real tight draft here. I think they're just going to let me go. And they do. So at this point in the race, I'm like thinking, okay, I remember this guy. Pretty sure I passed them. So I think I have the pace to get by. And it's just a matter of choosing the moment to do so or seeing what they will do. Alright, folks having trouble up here, but I get a much better exit. So I'll take one position there. I don't think that actually was for position. I think that was lapped traffic. Once again, at this point, I don't know who's actually fighting for position. I was like kind of 10 seconds behind whoever I was chasing most of the race after the first stint. So I don't recall really passing folks for position on track. There were no great battles, unlike the first lap. So I tried kind of doing it again. I think that was a little slower. Once again, I don't know if that chicane, if you want to hit those curbs, if you want to hit the big orange curb, the colorful ones, or avoid them altogether, like you kind of do on the Lesmos. But here's a pass. Must be doing something right. Alright, pit stop number 2. I do see this car leave, and I know they're on my inside, but I'm hoping, and I was wrong, that they would be invisible, or you can't touch them. That was not very good. Neither was that. I think at this point in the race, I've started to lose focus. These solo endurance races, I always feel sore after doing it. They are exhausting. And like the person up ahead in yellow, they lost focus and went across the sand. But that is the test with these. Whoop. That is the test with these endurance races, is to just see if you can put in consistent lap times. And I was happy with my race. I was catching people, I was passing people. Not the best position, but I also didn't have to pee like a racehorse when I was done. I got to take my bathroom break during the first pit stop, and then I felt pretty good the rest of the race, up until like this point where I'm starting to lose focus and feel tired in my legs. But getting up right behind somebody can sometimes refocus you in on, like, okay, I gotta study them, look for my path around, be aware if they make a mistake from my pressure, or learn from them. What are they doing better that I'm not? The Martini livery? It's that old classic livery, but on the Porsche. Oh, that car got either disconnected or disqualified from that last 1X. I think they were disqualified. And they were ahead of me also at the time, so I think I figure, we'll do a few more laps and I'll get another position. So this is the lap that I was able to set my best time on. I feel I was just like in the perfect draft range. The car ahead had pulled away from me, come back to me. I was kind of hitting my marks where I wanted to, and at this point just settling into P24, which is where I ended up 2 laps behind our leader. I'm going to leave the rest of the lap up if you'd like to see what I can do in terms of my line. But thank you for watching. Really happy I was able to set my best lap near the end of the race. Even though I lost focus, I was able to gain some of it back and just put in a good lap time. Once again, thank you for watching. Have a good one. That's why I wasn't able to set a faster lap.